Here's a question for you. Why can't Seattle Seahawks fans enjoy how good Geno Smith is? So, this Dallas game did have the glitzy numbers that for far too often have been missing from this Seahawks offense. Geno Smith threw for 334 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and he also rushed in himself for a score. But I really think there's kind of a dishonesty, or people just need to recognize more the type of environment Geno Smith is being asked to operate in. Combining Pro Football Focus, Sports Info Solutions, and ESPN's pass block grades sees the Seahawks pass pro come in as the 3rd worst in the NFL. And at the Cowboys, per NFL Next Gen stats, Smith was pressured on 54.5% of his dropbacks. That's the highest rate during his whole time in Seattle. And yet, his time to throw was a blistering 2.42 seconds, the quickest when he has been quarterback of the Seahawks too. That also impressed one of Dallas's pass rushers, Micah Parsons. And people do need to realize how impressive this is. The Cowboys tape's obviously a nice example because the results match Geno's process, where he was throwing guys open, he was accurate, he was avoiding the negative plays. But this kind of quarterbacking effort and style has been on display for a lot of the season, and it's also why in Dallas he comes in with a low or relatively low 56.1% completion percentage while also throwing that pick. While Smith may have backed himself to kind of throw guys open a bit more, throw a bit earlier without that obvious separation, the real difference versus the Cowboys was better individual routes for Seattle's receivers from Shane Waldron and just more effective overall concepts. The first 3rd down of the game was a sign of things to come. 3rd and 9, and obviously the tape kind of does the talking here. Absolute dart to DK Metcalf where it's thrown in between the hole of the defenders. It's only where DK can get this football. It catches them both kind of in a low position and he's able to take it to the house, and it's kind of a reminder, which we haven't seen enough, have we, of what DK Metcalf can do when he catches the ball. He is gone. Dallas is basically playing cover 4. You kind of get indicators of this from the contours of their defense, but for all intents and purposes, it plays out like man-to-man on the backside. And this is Geno just being able to beat these 2 defenders. Super, super accurate football. I mean, look at the moment where he's just reading in his drop where this front side safety is. It's enough to get this defender peeking over to, because typically on cover 4, when you're playing man on the backside like they are here, basically, this player can help on 3 up, that sort of thing. It's just enough to hold that player and create this tiny window. Still very impressive window, isn't it? Tiny window here. Unreal. Because watching live, it almost looked like cover 1 Robert, didn't it? With how this defender was able to hold into the middle of the field. He's actually kind of got responsibility on DK once there isn't a 3rd receiver up into the pattern. But Geno looked him off. This angle, the eyes of the quarterback. He read the backside safety coming down, and then he glanced over there to try and hold him to that side a bit more, encourage his rotation, and then bang, absolute dart. And this is the best angle for looking at how accurate this football is. Catches both defenders in the low hole position. I mean, wow. Absolute wow. Geno really did throw the football early in this game. So where on this DK Metcalf fade ball, where he gets the one-on-one, you can see how he's gearing up here. The separation is not obvious. He's letting his receiver run underneath it. There isn't too much obvious separation, but DK is able to kind of separate late into the pattern. But you can see here, he knows he's getting the one-on-one on the outside, the single high safety, this motion run with. He makes his mind up, and it's basically a schemed up shot anyway, where they're running, like a 9-8-9 variant, where you have the over route and the go, and this kind of go, or it becomes a post, but it's a schemed up shot for Metcalf, one-on-one. I like how he puts touch on this throw to enable his receiver to go and run underneath it. gives him the time to get down there. You can see from this perspective the touch that's placed on this football, the little hop into it. And this moment here from DK, the slight hand fighting to separate, giving his receiver a chance to go get the football. Now, this football was thrown damn early from Geno too. First off, cool thing schematically are Geno knows he's getting man-to-man coverage. How does he know that? Well, we have a tight end here, a tight end here, a nub formation. They've got both slot receivers out here in 12 personnel. So one running back, the two tight ends. Over on the tight end side, there are safeties. And over on the slot side, they've put both of their perimeter cornerbacks here and here. Really well-drawn C's there. The other thing, scheme-wise, that's cool is they motion lock it in and out of the bunch. And that further confirms to Geno Smith that he's facing man-to-man defense. Not only that, it gives Lockett an easier head start, kind of cheat motion, a bit like how the Miami Dolphins use it, or the Los Angeles Rams. Like, they had success with this, didn't they, versus the Seahawks, where Lockett's able to get extra width and depth on this corner. He's ensuring he's facing off coverage, and he's able to get a real head start into his break, widen the corner out into the extra room that he's able to run his route into, accelerate into this cut, nice head fake at the top of the route, and Geno puts this ball right on him as he gets out his cut. Absolutely, precise timing, and I think, Lockett has to catch his football. He'd acknowledge that. And the route concept is very simple. It's just double posts. DK's post attracts the post safety. Lockett, after he does his kind of return motion, he's able to widen, maximize the room, and then bang it into this kind of window here. Now, the precise timing is not just important from putting it on your receiver perspective and really getting it into the most available room, not preventing the DB from being able to recover. It's also important from a pass pro perspective. And you can see how Geno is right under pressure pretty quickly. Pass pro wise, you get this safety dip out, and Noah Fant, as the tight end, is worried about DeMarcus Lawrence to the inside. This safety added on to the pressure and almost would have got Geno if the ball hadn't come out fast. So he's making his pass pro right too. Now, Seattle's offensive line has been having their issues, and Dan Quinn in this game did a good job schematically of causing them some problems. Geno was able to avoid the negative plays, as I've said, and this is a pretty good example. It's not a fancy play, but it's 2nd and 5, 31 seconds left in the half. Obviously, Dallas expecting Seattle to pass the football. This kind of receiver switch, it just further accents that they're probably facing cover 0. You can see just from the contours of the defense, the walked up look of the line of scrimmage, that it's likely to be a man-to-man pressure with no help in the middle of the field. Technically, like within the rules of how Seattle's blocking this is kind of on Geno Smith to make it right, because Seattle's pushing the running back out here. They're sliding their center this way, or man blocking this guy, blocking out here, blocking here, then blocking here because they don't want to leave Micah Parsons unblocked, blocking here. Well, with the running back not staying in, this guy is Geno Smith's responsibility, and lo and behold, that guy ends up rushing rather than taking the negative play, and it doesn't seem ideal, does it, given you're keeping your tight end in, but you're leaving an A-gap rusher right unblocked at the quarterback. That's difficult, but Geno, with this intense pressure, is able to lob it to DJ Dallas and avoid the negative play. I believe they actually got a yard on the play. This is Geno making the best of a bad situation here, isn't it? So not only was Geno Smith throwing early, he was throwing super accurate to where only his guys could get it. And I think Dallas really tried to play a lot of tight man-to-man coverage in this game because Seattle in recent weeks had struggled versus that approach. Here, this is more like a two-man type of deal. And you can see how in the 3rd and 10 situation where Seattle did a great job of being actually over that 50% mark that they want to be on 3rd downs. Here, Geno puts it right onto Tyler Lockett. It's an inside trail technique from the defender. So you kind of need to put it to his high kind of shoulder area. Remember, the defender's back's turned, so he's not able to see this. And, it'd be very easy to try and put it to the low area here where the defender could maybe get the pass break up. But Geno understanding this guy's man and following, this guy's over the top. It's a two-man type of look. He puts it right where only Lockett can get it. Again, he's in the face of some pretty intense pass rush. See, Charles Cross has a bit of a tough moment here, kind of losing. But Geno's just too quick for the rush. Puts it where only his receiver can get it. And this is how they're able to pick up a new set of downs. You see also on his right side here, Micah Parsons is having a pretty good rush. And Tyler Lockett, good job hauling this in. Hands away from the frame. Great concentration to the ground. This 3rd and 5, similar type of deal where Tyler Lockett is matched up with the slot, but more kind of an off technique in like a cover 4. So how do we play this? Rather than throwing it to the high shoulder of Lockett, we can throw it low and away from him where he can have a chance to go and get the football. And indeed, as you see here, Geno right on the money, throwing very early as Lockett's coming out of his cut, throwing basically to a spot for Lockett to go get it away from the defender leverage. And indeed, he picks up a really nice chunk here with Seattle looking to score at the end of the half. Once more important, the ball comes out on time because Micah Parsons causing issues. And it wasn't just the short stuff, okay? There was some real accuracy throwing early down the field. Here, nice shot off play action. Why is it a nice shot? Well, scheme-wise, there's some things we can talk about. Again, it's that 12 personnel slot formation, the nub set, and there's no one out here, is there? No receiver out here. Geno knows he's getting a type of zone coverage. How does he know that? Well, here's a right corner back here. Here's the left cornerback out here. This is a safety on Tyler Lockett. This is a cornerback on a tight end. What does he get? Well, they're showing single high, but they actually rotate into cover 2 over on this side of the field. And they're playing like cover 4 on the backside. They're asking this player to fit the B gap, so he's sucked up. That gives Lockett a clean release down the pipe. And it's the responsibility of this guy and this guy to get underneath. That's a safety. That's a linebacker. Tough task, especially off play action when they're having to clear the heavy, hard run fake, which definitely sucks up this guy and this guy. Lockett's all the way down the pipe. This linebacker tries desperately to get back. Geno climbing up in the pocket, working with the rush, lofts it with touch, looks underthrown because of how the defender bundles into Geno Smith. They get the defensive pass interference penalty, so it's all good. However, from this angle, you can really see how, Lockett actually had a shot at this. I missed this on the live copy. You can see how it hits the defender's hands. If the defender's not there, Lockett makes this catch. And he didn't have to slow down for it too much, did he? So again, giving his receiver the chance to go make the play, make the catch against the defender leverage. And pocket-wise, this is pretty good pass pro. It's a really nice pocket for Geno to climb up in. Excellent navigation, recognizing where the opportunity is up with DK Metcalf doubled by the cover 2. Lockett on a linebacker, that's money. Now this 1st and 10, again, it is not actually a Seahawks catch, is it? Although it looked like it. More cool scheme stuff, more Geno throwing to a spot for his guy to go make the play. What's the cool scheme stuff? Well, they knew they're likely to face some type of man coverage here, and they bunched them all up in a kind of train, and even though it means Jackson Smith-Njigba's the man who has to face press coverage, by aligning him tight like this, it gives him a lot of the field to be able to work. He can really work a two-way go, and although he has a corner route, because there's 2 other guys with him, there's no one here, so there's a lot of space. He doesn't have to worry about running his route into traffic. Also, Geno Smith knows he's getting man coverage because it's pretty damn obvious when a defense lines up like this in reaction to this, and that it's a type of man-to-man. The contours of the defense suggesting that. So Jackson Smith-Njigba is able to take a wide inside release, and he's got all of this space to then work his route into. Good head fake at the top of the route to keep the DB honest, like we saw Tyler Lockett do. And Geno here, and we'll talk about how impressive the throw is, it's just absolute perfect precision. His life is made easier because the Cowboys actually, rather than keeping this guy on this hash and where he could probably work a bit more over the top, instead, they spin down into like one robber, which is an interesting decision, and that guy works there. Why does that guy work there? Well, Geno opens over this side, which gets this safety really in the post spinning to think about DK Metcalf's type of route. They probably run one robber because they're anticipating, with not much time left, that kind of in-cut that Seattle loves throwing to DK Metcalf or trying to throw to DK Metcalf in recent weeks. Geno's back foot hits. Needs to buy time. He knows he has the look he wants, but he needs to buy time in the pocket to throw this type of route because it takes a while to develop. Knows he has the shot there, though. And even with this type of game coming free off the edge, Geno, with that pressure right in his face, he just lofts it up to a spot. Jackson Smith-Njigba comes down with it, or doesn't, but draws the defensive pass interference flag. And I mean, that was a tight call. I'm surprised they overturned it, You can see the offensive line still having their issues with handling and passing off these picks and stunts. But Geno's able to buy himself enough time in the pocket for this one. So now the play after Geno Smith's interception, and I've said, if you're throwing guys open or, throwing to a spot and you've got intense pressure in your face too, occasionally like what happened to Tyler Lockett, the DB will win at the top of the route and undercut the play or make a play on the football. It doesn't happen often though. And this is the direct play after where Geno Smith responds absolutely brilliantly. Beautiful ball fake, and it's nice to see Seattle using these play action looks again. 13 personnel, so they get Noah Fant matched up on a safety. Okay, press coverage, but because it's they're running his route into the wide side of the field, he has a lot of space. He doesn't really have to beat the press. He can kind of run around it to an extent. He's not being asked to win against it in the tight coverage. At this point, the safety's thinking, okay, I know it's a race route. I'm going to undercut this route here, like this. Fant's bending across the field. Metcalf's running off the coverage on this side. Geno puts it where only his tight end can get the football, into this kind of high shoulder window again, giving him a chance to go and make the grab. No hope for the safety of undercutting and getting a hand on this football. Throwing it out into the space that's provided. Another thing to focus on this play is how good the ball fake is. Watch the camera operator here. He clearly brought his run. And with the Cowboys in man-to-man, doesn't really make a difference. But camera operator thought sharp and they had the football, at least from this end zone. Great grab from Fant. And we should probably talk about how receivers, tight ends, other than that Lockett drop we've seen, they made these catches. A lot of the times, they haven't been executing as well as they could have done. Finally, this 3rd and 5, Geno's rushing touchdown. There's a lot which goes on here, which is good from Geno pre-snap as well. So, and as we've seen in a lot of these plays, is smarter formations helping the quarterback know what's going on. So 3rd and 5 is difficult, but first of all, you motion Jackson Smith-Njigba away, create a nub spread trips formation. So why it's a nub? Well, this is a single tight end, Noah Fant. He has a safety type on him. Smith-Njigba's shift has been followed by a nickel type. So immediately, Geno's thinking he's getting man-to-man defense. After a quick peek out here where it looks like Seattle's trying to get like a rub and then throw it underneath to Metcalf, Geno has a quick peek at that. Doesn't like the way that that's being played, and I probably wouldn't either. And remember, you've got this spare player who's probably dissuading that too, because he could just drive into that window. 3rd and 5. Geno looks backside where he knows he has a one-on-one to Noah Fant. Also a quick peek out here would hold this guy from making a play. Does Noah Fant win on his route? Not really. Looks like they were trying to bend in this type of window throw, but there's not really the separation there. Time is running out in the pocket. So Geno Smith just runs up in the pocket, runs for touchdown. Everyone's eyes are elsewhere. They're all manned up on the receivers. Geno goes and takes it. There's the shift, followed, notice man-to-man. Quick peek over there. I think that's more to hold the safety, isn't it? Looks at Noah Fant's in-cut, which is where my face is, and isn't there. Senses the time running out in the pocket. Micah Parsons coming off the edge, absolute menace. Runs up in the pocket. Great work. Seahawks rushing touchdown. So it's kind of weird that Dallas game finished with the ball. I mean, it was sort of in Geno Smith's hands, but it wasn't really letting him go make the play. So it's unfortunate that the plays that Seattle called in on those fourth downs, didn't quite get it done, and their execution was lacking. And also, it wasn't really on Geno Smith. I guess that he could have been a bit more on the same page with Jackson Smith and Jigba on that cover zero. But ultimately, his quarterbacking process that I've seen this season has just been like this Dallas game. It just so happens that the Cowboys' game plan was better suited for, the receiver skill sets and guys. And Geno did bring that kind of, I'm just going to throw it to the space, whatever, and we'll see what happens. How sustainable living in that kind of pressure percentage world is very questionable. But the guy is a good quarterback. I don't know why there's such a weird narrative around him. I can guess. Anyway, if you like this video, do comment down below. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know if you think I'm deluded. I'm sure some of you will.